January, my love. I have entered this new place called Looming for the first time. It is said to be a dead place, abandoned by everything but time and shadows. I will see what I can learn here, and then return to you as swiftly as I can. These are the first words you read upon your entry to this bizarre, eerie world. There's a signpost just off the road naming the area you're fenced into simply as Looming. The objectives of this old Flash game are simple. On the ground there are 36 small twinkling dots, each one a different artifact left behind by someone or something. Our character apparently wishes to learn the secrets of this place, whatever it is, wherever it is, and it's our job to help them. The game presents us with 9 endings, and we're going to find them all. As we walk, we discover that there are only a handful of sounds accompanying us. Footsteps, the wind, the occasional clink when we stumble upon an item, and an odd groaning. The map is gigantic and filled with long tracts of empty space, but fortunately everything we need to find can be discovered near the paths or the architecture. As we journey west, we come across several sets of enormous gears, a bizarre spiked contraption, some lampposts, and an odd triangular structure that reminds me of a shark's jaw. The sign tells us we can only enter when we found all 6 tally beads, and luckily by now I had found a couple. These beads give us the helpful clue that they belong to a collection of people known as the Seecha, a group that evidently aren't around anymore but that did once share this world. Unfortunately, they don't tell us anything about themselves. Instead, we have to learn about the Seecha from their neighbours, the Lorem, who are seemingly the only other group of people to have lived in Looming. The Lorem tablets describe the Seecha as strange people. They do not believe in the sky, we have pointed to it, drawn pictures, and even used arguments of logic, and they refuse to admit it exists. They spend their days never looking above the horizon, never seeing the stars. The Lorem tell us that when they arrived in Looming, the Seecha were already here, and were spending their time building huge machines, those gears we now only see the ruins of. The Lorem apparently attempted to teach the Seecha of the principles, as they believed that the Seecha had no idea of the scientific theory behind why their machines worked. They only knew that they did. The Seecha, however, were not interested, instead claiming that if they could not see it or feel it, it wasn't real. If we end our exploration here for the time being, and walk back to that portal we saw at the start, we're met with a first ending. I spent much time here, January, but it seems as if I have made little progress. To be sure, I have seen new things, catalogued new facts, but I feel as if I have resolved no great issues this time. Yours, September, finally revealing the name of our character. January, my love, I have once again arrived in Looming. The second time is more imposing than the first. Then I had heard only stories. Now I know what awaits me. Nothing. Nothing but bones and soil and aged relics. I long to return to your bright vitality, and I will be home again soon. The Lorem, by contrast, lived in the east. Unlike their industrious neighbours, they seem to have left very little behind. Some hoops, some spikes, this, and a giant dome, apparently only available to those who have a firm grasp of the sciences. These sciences are revealed to us by the rings the Lorem have left behind, each one inscribed with the name of a being. They seem to have revered all 6 of these as individuals, describing chemistry, logic, biology, psychology, physics, and mathematics as figures who guide solutions, truth, function, body, mind, and movement. I would be tempted to call them gods, but the game never does so. The creator, Gregory Avery Weir, calls it a pantheon in their description, but it's unclear what exactly these principles represented to the Lorem. Physical beings, forces of nature, simple personifications of the scientific principles? We don't know. And I have a feeling it's too late to ask. Much like how we learned of the Seecha through their neighbours, we must also learn of the Lorem through the records the Seecha have left behind. Here they describe the arrival of a people who described strange beings which do not exist, called names like logic and physics and chemistry. They claim these beings make them smart, but they cannot build even simple machines. They spend much of their time discussing these fairy tales. They describe them as pleasant but also like children, questioning how each aspect of their machines work until they grew frustrated. It's interesting to note how both the Lorem and the Seecha seem to interpret each other in different ways. To the Lorem, their neighbours have no idea why their machines work the way they do, but to the Seecha, the Lorem are incapable of building to their level despite their apparent understanding. The remnants of these civilizations speak for themselves in this quiet wasteland too. The Seecha have left behind much, and the Lorem have left behind almost nothing. The latter judge the former for dismissing their pantheon as irrelevant, but if they cannot see it or feel it, why does it matter? Sure, that may sound dismissive, but look at what they built, and what their neighbours didn't. The Seecha's inability to look at the sky is very interesting though. They apparently never looked to the stars, which makes me wonder if it's out of disbelief or if they physically couldn't. We don't know what these groups are, if they were human or even humanoid. It's possible this was a physical rather than spiritual limitation. If you lose your nerve in this monochrome void and retreat to the portal before discovering anything new, we can get another ending. I could not stay today. It is all too much for me, January. The dark ground and the dry, towering geology. I will return another day after steeling myself with your presence. Yours, September. However, if during your explanation of these lost civilizations you follow the long path all the way to the north of the map, you will find another portal, getting us our third ending. It feels as if I have traipsed all over this place, with its rough paths and barren wastes, a broad area yet still so small. There is an entire world outside of the fence, but I, with the remnants of these people, am penned into a much smaller universe. Yours, September. January, my love, the time I spend with you seems only moments compared to my time spent in Looming. How I wish it were the opposite. There is a feeling of inevitability about this place that I fear will infect the rest of my life. Looming tells a story, but it's a story that has ended long ago. Once you have collected all of the Seecha's beads and the Lorem's rings, we can approach their respective portals. Is this where they came from, where they went? We don't know. Approaching the Seecha's jaws with all of their beads in hand gives us our fourth ending. Our character September tells us, the Seecha could not, would not see the sky, January. I pity them. For how barren Looming is, the sky here is as beautiful as any I have ever seen. Perhaps you will be able to join me sometime. Coming to the Lorem's dome with a firm grasp of the sciences on our hands, we encounter our fifth ending. The faith of the Lorem is something I envy, January. They believed so strongly, more strongly than I believe in anything. Anything except my love for you. Yours, September. These endings once again raise the concept of the Lorem's unyielding faith in science. Yet we've seen ourselves and heard from the Seecha that they were unable to apply their knowledge hardly at all. And once again we come to the Seecha and the sky. Our character can't decide whether they couldn't or wouldn't look to the sky, lamenting their loss as it's apparently very beautiful. Interestingly, we can't see the sky either. Whilst walking in Looming, I can't help but think of the text in the third ending, how we are privy to only a very tiny amount of this world. What's out there? Are we fenced in, or keeping something out? A potential answer may have already been found during our journey. If you're an avid explorer, you may have travelled to the northwest already and discovered 4 shapes in the ground. I thought they could be eggs, but the files call them orbs. There's a pillar in the centre reading, "Bring my bones together here, and you will be shown a new way." One of the Lorem tablets also gives us a hint as to whose bones may be required here. The Seecha are very brave but perhaps foolhardy. A group of them have built a machine to try and capture the Oarbor. They do not understand that the Oarbor flies, but they know enough to put the machine on tall stilts. We do not think that the Seecha will succeed. Our calculations suggest very low chances. We've seen this machine, but haven't seen an Oarbor yet, and I doubt a machine this big is used to catch these tiny things, which the game notes call birds, despite the sound that they make. However, as we pick up more artifacts from the ground, we begin to piece together a monstrous puzzle. The skeleton of a beast unlike anything we have in our world. A 10-foot tail like that of a reptile, a thigh bone resembling a mammal's yet hollow and reinforced with metal. A forearm and a hip resembling both mammals and birds, indicating a wingspan of 15 feet and 3 pairs of limbs. A wrist bone resembling that of a human's. And finally, a colossal alien skull, unlike anything we've seen before. This is the Oarbor, a giant flying creature that the Seecha apparently tried to capture. What's really strange about this isn't its alien appearance though. In Looming, this looks pretty normal. Instead, it's something that you may have already picked up on. It wrote to us, "Bring my bones together here." It was intelligent, and apparently very much so, as it appears in one final Seecha record. Strange things like cobwebs began appearing today. The Oarbor monsters said they were the Epiphany. Touching them gave us visions of the past and the future, a flash of insight, like the inspiration for a machine design. The Oarbor was apparently familiar with some physical phenomenon known as the Epiphany, and saw its own future much like it said, which we discover when we finally bring its bones together and receive the 6th ending. The Oarbor knew it would die, and when. It knew to the hour and the second. Would you want to know the same, January? Would it make you cherish every moment more, or stain the time you have left with grief? I cannot say myself. All I know is that I would continue coming home to you as I do now. Yours, September. The Epiphany can apparently give you more than visions and inspirations, but can tell you what is going to happen down to the specific second. Is this why the Oarbor wrote this message? Is it what it wanted to show? Did it want to show us? If it knew it would die, did it know we would be the ones to find it? January, my love, I could almost not stand to step through to Looming today. How I wish I could stay with you forever, but my work conspires to drive me away. Soon I will understand the secrets of this place, and I will never have to return here again. We haven't yet received an answer as to where the Seecha and the Lorem went, nor where they came from. The Seecha mentioned the Lorem arriving here, but did they travel to Looming from somewhere too? We are also faced with a new existential mystery now, the apparent existence of cobweb-like things that could show your past and future with a single touch. The Seecha mention it like it was an inspiration for a new machine, but they also say that the Lorem didn't fare so well with this new ability. The Lorem do not trust what they cannot calculate, so they are very upset. At least one of them have collapsed in shock. The Lorem themselves enlighten us on their neighbours a little bit more. The Seecha were very confused when the first wisps of the Epiphany began to fall. They thought that it was appearing from nowhere, but strangely they are not disturbed or alarmed by the mental effects it has. They say that knowing what will be merely means they need not waste effort on building anymore. The Seecha believing that the wisps of Epiphany came from nowhere tells us that it likely falls from the sky. However, we once again see the stark difference between these two peoples. The Lorem deride the Seecha for not knowing where it fell from, yet their answer of the sky doesn't solve much of anything either. Does it fall like rain, build up in clouds? Is it natural? Is it rare? Where does it come from? Why does it cause this effect? Either way, both had very different reactions to seeing their own future. We're told that the Seecha packed up to leave Looming. Since they saw that they were going to leave, they had no reason to stay. With this baffling explanation, they left, taking with them the hearts and other useful pieces of their great machines. The Epiphany, it seems, was merely an inconvenience to them. In contrast, we're told that the Lorem are moving on as well. The Epiphany said they would, but the Lorem would not believe it and refused to go. But their stress and confusion proved too much, it seems. They are moving on to a place where what they see as impossible does not occur. We have our answer then. The people of Looming didn't die, despite the current desolation of their world. They simply moved on. To the Seecha, who favoured building their machines over understanding their parts, the Epiphany showed them that they would leave. So they did. To the Lorem, who favoured understanding their world over practical application, the Epiphany was terrifying. How can something show you what hasn't happened yet? And while we don't know the answer, we're told that the Epiphany showed the Lorem leaving too, and while they may not have understood how or why, they fulfilled their own prophecy all the same. We've seen the southern and northern portals, the Seecha and the Lorem portals where they seem to have both departed, which means we're left with just one final structure, those lampposts I mentioned right at the start. We're the only sign of life we've seen throughout our journey, uncovering relics, artifacts, bones, and stumbling across the ruins of both a practical and totally unexplainable purpose. As we've explored, we've gradually picked up pieces of a shattered diagram, which resembles 4 shapes and 4 arrows, likely these posts right here. Moving the lights to match the diagram, another portal appears, giving us our 7th ending. Mystery January is what drives us forward. We seek answers to questions and new questions to ask. When we see a symbol, we wonder what it means. When we see a hill, we want to see what is on the other side. Ironic, both for me playing, you watching, and for our character September. They haven't been shy about disliking Looming, yet being drawn to it, wanting to uncover it, understanding its secrets, calling it their work. There are no hills here, but we all still want to see what's on the other side. And that leads us to what I find to be the most unexpected relic in Looming. We've seen no one else here. September said that Looming tells a story, but it's a story that has ended long ago. So why is there a signpost here? Sometimes I think that it would be better to bring you along when I go to Looming, but it would be heresy, I think, to put your brilliance amongst this desolation. Heresy against you, and against this place. Welcome, visitor. The time I have left here is brief, so I will dispense you with courtesy. I wish you to visit and learn. South of here is a patch of rough ground. Look in the center for a hidden signpost. Apparently, we aren't the first to explore Looming. Following the instructions from a stone, we encounter another. I have lived in Looming for a long time, but I was not born here. I will die here, however. Oddly foreboding. And from here, we engage in a search for a total of 8 hidden signposts, chronicling the information this earlier explorer chose to leave behind. One has my full legal address for some reason, but the next 2 expand on the peoples we've heard from already. The Lorem came here after some trouble in their original home. I did not ask, and they did not offer. They were friendly but flighty. They fled Looming in existential terror. And the Seecha were workers and explorers. They saw me as a threat and attacked me. I admire their fierce tenacity. They saw no point in remaining after the Epiphany showed them their departure. This individual was here for the arrival of the Lorem, who we're told were fleeing their homeland. I have to wonder, if this desolate plain was preferable, then what were the conditions like for them back home? This explorer was at least contemporary with the Seecha, who also described the arrival of the Lorem, but the next signpost reveals something intriguing. Many have come to Looming. When I first arrived, there were signs of earlier settlement, but those traces have crumbled to dust by now. Everyone leaves, but I will stay until my end. The Lorem and the Seecha were evidently not the first people to inhabit Looming, but we are too late to see the relics of these previous people. Did they leave following the Epiphany too? Did they see the Oarbor? Did they witness the arrival of others and know of people who had dwelled in this dimension before they came too? We're too late, so we won't know. The next 3 tablets tell us more of the Epiphany. The Epiphany occurs here. It is natural to Looming as far as I know. It is like snow or wind. It comes, it lingers, it fades away, and it makes you know your future. I have been in Looming for a long time. I have seen many epiphanies, and I've seen far into the future. This place never keeps its visitors. They always leave. I remember my death and your arrival. I remember you reading these signs. I recall my bones growing dry and bleached in the dust. These all remind me of the message from the Oarbor, where I asked if this creature was writing for us or just for anyone. We know of the Orbor's name, but we don't know their intended audience. Conversely, we don't know who this person is, nor where they came from, but thanks to the Epiphany, they know us. If you have unearthed all of my messages, then a portal sits to the south. An epiphany is coming. I remember it. What will it make you remember? That is one of the few mysteries still masked to me. Walking south through the sparsest part of this sparse world, we encounter the portal. An epiphany is coming, and it's time to remember our future. I have experienced an epiphany, dear January. I have seen time spread out before me like a ribbon, and I could see the end of it. Not the end of me. I know only of my time in Looming, and I know that the end of it will not be the end of me, nor of us. As far as I can see, we are as one. But I never needed prophecy to know that. I come home tonight. I have seen myself leaving. Yours, September. January, my love, coming to Looming again and again wears on me. My clothing will always bear traces of the dust here, I fear. My shoes will always bear its soil. My nose will always itch with the smell of bones. With our witnessing of our own epiphany, we have apparently seen the end of our time in Looming. We've collected every artifact and learned what we can about the people who came just before us, about those who lived and died here, and those who chose to explore just like we have. The developer of Looming stated that they didn't want to divide the population of Looming between a typical science versus mysticism. The Lorem are deeply invested in their scientific principles, but it is the Seecha who know how to build and construct these great machines, deriding the inventions of their neighbours as simple or as toys. The Seecha will not, or perhaps cannot, look up at the sky. They have never seen the stars, did not understand that the Oarbor could fly, and never knew where the wisps of Epiphany fell from. Yet the Lorem conversely portrayed their grasp of the sciences as worship of divine beings, and enormously struggled to apply their own principles to the real world. In the end, it was the pragmatism of the Seecha that divided them from the Lorem the most. The Epiphany fell, and its wisps showed them both leaving Looming. The Seecha apparently came here from somewhere, as the explorer mentions that Looming never keeps its visitors, while the Lorem were fleeing trouble at home. Seeing that they would leave, the Seecha chose to do just that. Being told that they would leave, the Lorem elected to flee to a land that made sense, fulfilling their prophecy too, in their own way. The Oarbor, this colossal lizard mammal bird with a 10-foot tail and a 15-foot wingspan, apparently knew all of this already, likely having lived through many epiphanies. Where did they come from? Are there more? September apparently couldn't see anything outside of his time in Looming. So does that mean that the Oarbor was essentially told it was going to die in here, down to the hour and the second, told that it didn't get to leave like the Lorem and the Seecha? The question that our character September asked to his lover January applies to the Oarbor too. It knew the hour and the second it would die. Did that make it cherish every moment, or stain the time it had left with grief? Finally, we found the hidden words of the previous explorer, an individual who travelled to Looming likely after hearing the stories like we did, and their epiphany showed them they would die here. They knew we would come, they knew we would read their signs before they ever made them, and they remembered that we would walk past their sun-bleached bones before they ever died, and before we were even born. And after all this, after hearing of the birth and the death of just one cycle of civilizations in this ancient world, after seeing our own time in Looming unravel like a ribbon before us, we're still left with an ending. The 9th has, as of yet, totally evaded us. We've been to every building, collected every item, and entered every portal. But what we haven't done yet is explore the corners of the map. Looming is gigantic. I spent ages stitching together screenshots to try and make a complete map for this video, and this is as far as I got. As you can see, there's a lot of empty space, populated only by what the game calls fireflies and, again, birds. But it's in these corners where we find our most enigmatic clues yet. A signpost. 4 of them. The northwest star shines west, the southwest star shines east, The southeast star shines north, and the northeast star shines south. Huh. 4 objects, 4 directions sounds to me a lot like those lampposts. In a place called Looming, remnants of the past lie abandoned in the dust. This is a game about 2 lovers named January and September. No, it's about a group of people who don't believe in the sky. No, it's about a pantheon of scientific disciplines. Or maybe it's about an ancient beast who knew exactly when it was going to die and how. It's about a place called Looming. We rotate the lampposts into place, shining their light in 4 new directions. We have come to Looming time and time again, lamented being drawn here like so many who have come before, but with this final clue, the last portal is revealed, along with our 9th and final ending. Even the dead tell stories, January. Among the rubble and the ashes and the bones and the watching spires, there are glimmers of knowledge and secrets that show what was and will be. That is Looming, January, a snapshot of the end of time. A place for remembering and discovering. I love you, January. I hope that we will be remembered in the same way that Looming remembers those who briefly stopped here. I hurry home. Yours, September. The world of Looming is dead for now, filled with dust and the stench of the bones of those who have seen us coming before we were born. But someday, someone new will arrive, for reasons unspoken, and then one day they will leave too. September has seen this, but we don't get to know. It's their epiphany, their memory, and while they get to remember the future of Looming, we don't even get to see its sky. Thank you for watching.